Hello Guardians, it is Ebontis here, and I finally finished the Triumph in Pursuit of Honor. It was a long journey, did a lot of it during Iron Banner, which I'll kind of explain how that actually helped a little bit. But I have opinions, thoughts, tips, and a few other things just about this entire journey for Mountaintop, and just some overall thoughts about Pinnacle weapons as well that'll probably be towards the end. So let's get into this thing, and this is mostly going to be a talking head video, so if you want to minimize it, listen to it in the background, take it with you, I will go ahead and be talking away. So not much to watch on screen, but there might be some Crucible footage up here, so you're not just looking at my face the whole time. But to get started, we've got the Triumph itself, In Pursuit of Honor. Now my thoughts about that title, I'll probably get to it later, but I don't think that fits. But what do you have to do? Well, what you need to do is get Grenade Launcher Final Blows. You need to get Rapid Enemies Defeated, which is like a double kill or more, and you have to get those medals, so like double quick or triple, whatever. And then you've got Calculated Trajectory. Calculated Trajectory means you need 3 Grenade Launcher Final Blows in a single life, so 3 without dying. That's the key. So the first one is Grenade Launcher Final Blows, and all of these 3 can have your progress move quicker if you do the work in competitive. If you are going to do the work in competitive, my advice is to do it at like 0 glory score. I don't think people are going to be doing nothing in there, but you're not going to have like the highest, sweatiest people in the matches, especially later in a season. So depending on when you start this journey, my advice is if you're going to do it in competitive, do it at the lowest glory score possible you can. Now, if your glory score is high, don't try and dump matches and try and lower your glory score. Just wait till next season and work on some of this in the regular match, because if your glory score, you already got Fabled, you were working on Revoker, and it's up there, just wait till next season, or just, you know, slowly work on it in other playlists. If you do this in normal, and that's the numbers I have, because I don't have the exact ones for comp, if you do this in normal playlist, whether it's Iron Banner, Quick Play, Rumble, whatever, you're going to need as follows: 750 Final Blows, opponents rapidly defeated is 200, and then 100 Calculated Trajectory medals. Now, 750 Final Blows sounds like a lot. It's not at all. It's not even close. I have so many more Grenade Launcher Final Blows than that since I've been tracking this Triumph, because the other 2 are not easy, and you're likely to get partway to some of those without actually getting, you know, a check on those, but you'll get like 1 Grenade Launcher here, or 2 without dying, but not the 3rd. So the Final Blows is not anything you have to worry about, because if you do the other 2, you will be far beyond that one. Just for an example, so you guys can see my stats real quick. This is Destiny Item Manager, and this is the Triumph, and this is mine. As you can see, I've got 3,882 Final Blows with Grenade Launchers, 5 times more than I needed. That's a ton. Also means I was apparently not the greatest of aiming, or at least following up for that 2nd or 3rd kill. Opponents rapidly defeated was 202. That was the last thing I finished. And then the medals earned was 127. I was at like 125 and 200 when it actually finished. So I was a little ahead on the Calculated Trajectory, but both are pretty in line, basically, with being... mine were never too far apart. Mine were pretty close together. I think the Calculated Trajectory medals were about 10% ahead versus the rapidly defeated for most of my progress. And then towards the end, as I got a little better with the breach load launchers, then the Calculated Trajectory started to kind of climb up a little quicker. So that's what you have to do. Now, also on the other end of this, you got to get some glory in the front. You have to get to Fabled after this to actually pick up the weapon, which I'm going to do next with my Revoker grind. So those will be coming later. And I know that's something not everybody loves. Like, if you could sit here and just get all these Final Blows and you would have Mountaintop, honestly, in my opinion, you would earn it. The fact that you have to go get Fabled after this is something that will turn some people off of this. So the same way they did Redrick's Claymore, and then they turned Redrick's Broadsword as more of a longer do-it-anywhere in Crucible quest, I would like to see them do that for more of these other Crucible weapons. But I will say, as much as I absolutely hated this grind in certain aspects, I will say it did make me better with breach load grenade launchers like Fighting Lion, Malicious Birthright, those, and this one, Mountaintop, will be as well. It made me better with those as a player. Now, are they top of the meta? No, but I will definitely say it's something that if I ran around and I threw it in my inventory, and say I was using a hand cannon in my energy slot and I was using Malicious Birthright in the top, or I was just running, you know, Ace of Spades with, well, I can't do Ace of Spades and Fighting Lion, but anything else in that top slot, that you want to use. Say I'm using my Go Figure and I'm using Fighting Lion. I can shoot that thing down a hallway, tag somebody, and then finish them up with that, tap to the head with the pulse rifle. Like, there are ways that this loadout actually can be beneficial and useful. Is it like top of the meta? No. But I will definitely say I have a lot more appreciation for this weapon type. And I think that's something good that this journey has actually, done. And for me, while I have opinions about like Hush in Gambit, because bows in Gambit is just not efficient and I feel like I'm a detriment to my team, overall, I actually do like the idea that you need to use the weapon type of the pinnacle weapon that you're going to earn. I think that actually is going to make you a better skilled player when you get your hands on that weapon. Revoker is actually not a bad one. I think it's balanced. It's not too terribly long. And then the fact that you can slowly earn the glory over time without having it go away is another good thing as well. So Revoker, you need 50 precision final blows. 50. Now, if you play PvP matches, and even if you're not the greatest sniper, those are bound to happen at some point. Now, for me, it's the 300 just sniper kills. Don't have to be headshots, but bodies count too. The double tap can work there, but I'm honestly going to end up getting most of those as precision final blows as well. But the idea is you're learning how to use a sniper, and then you're going to get a sniper pinnacle weapon that even forgives you and makes you want to use snipers more. I like the mentality behind that. While this one is insanely long, to me, it took way too many matches. And obviously it seems skewed because I had 5 times more of the first of final blows than the other two, like so much more. So like, I think the weight of the other two could be adjusted or something. It would be nice. But I do like the idea of like, hey, you want to use grenade launchers or you want to get the grenade launcher pinnacle weapon? You need to use grenade launchers. Now, you don't need to use a triple loadout like I did. I used a triple loadout because it was a way, as I got more used to it, I was able to actually earn some of these doubles and, the double kills and then the calculated trajectory just because I was able to play cautious and I got better with the weapons. But if you just wanted to equip like play of the game or colony, something like that, colony is harder to get than multi-kills. It kind of is. But like play of the game, a drum grenade launcher, just so you can like, if there's 3 enemies on a control point, you got heavy and you run up and you just like spew grenade launcher ammo over there and you kill 3 of them. Cool. That's one thing you could do and just slowly work on it over time. Not really required to do much else. But if you do want to like really focus on this thing and be like, I'm going to grind this out. The reason I use the breach load grenade launchers on top of a heavy, was I efficient the entire time? No, and I'm going to cover my thoughts about my playstyle while I was working on this. But what it did allow me to do at times, and it depends on your character, I would probably go on a Warlock or a Hunter. Titan has kind of the least benefit of class abilities to help this thing go. You can just pop a rally barricade and just shoot grenades down a hallway, and Lunafaction Well would be about the same thing. But the rally barricade doesn't make you stronger. You could do that with an empowering rift, and your actually grenades will hit harder. So you might be able to even get single kills, especially on some of the grenades that you can fire out there. So empowering is actually a nice thing if you're just, if you're sitting around a corner, you're like, hey, I know they're right around that corner. Drop a rift, start banking them around a corner. You get pretty good at like bank shots around corners if you do it enough. And sometimes those are going to work. That's not a bad thing. But there were times where I was running around and I played safe and I was able to shoot out Fighting Lion, which had a slower velocity than Malicious Birthright, and then Malicious Birthright behind it for that 1-2 kind of grenade kill, pick up their ammo, go roam around, and I was able to do that a couple times, or hit people around the corners from far away, or just lob grenades into a point that people are trying to cap, and really be annoying and kill a couple there. So having grenade launchers on me at all times, while not efficient, I did learn how to play with them very specifically. I knew if I banked one around a corner, or if I shot Fighting Lion around a corner and I hurt somebody and they were like, hey, I'm going to hide behind the wall. I'm going to follow up with Malicious Birthright, which is faster, and try and release that mouse and explode it right by that box, and half the time I'd kill him. Like, I got better at that. In the beginning, no, but towards the end, I got to be where I could be somewhat accurate with these things, and I could actually see them being pretty useful. So, there are benefits to going all 3 grenade launchers, but it is not required. Now, for classes, as I was saying, Titan has the least benefit. Empowering Rift or Well of Radiance is going to be a nice way for you to survive and have extra damage on your breach load grenade launchers. So if you do want to dump ammo out with those, they're going to hit harder, sometimes get single kills when sometimes you might need 2 shots. But really, a heavy that you feel comfortable with big blast radius. Proximity wasn't quite doing it for me. I mean, sometimes that'll work, sometimes it won't. It just seemed kind of spotty. I was using just the grenade launcher I had with the biggest blast radius. It's what I used for most of the time. Worked pretty well. I mean, I missed my fair share of heavy grenades, and I mean, there's only so much you can do about that, but at least it seemed to work pretty well for me. Everybody's going to be a little different. Colony may be your thing. That's really up to you. But when it comes to heavy ammo, you absolutely have to hoard it. Now I'm going to talk about how I played. So, didn't matter what map. Some maps are better for this than others. Believe me, the map, like the Trials of the Nine looking emissary zone map, that's a terrible one for me to do this because everything's so far long range, and after a while it is kind of hard to judge. Like down short hallways, bank shots, seems like things like that, you know, timing the release and the explosion, got to be okay, but long shots, still got some progress to work on those for me. So not every map is going to work in your benefit. The other thing I did is I hoarded heavy ammo like crazy. I didn't care what else was going on. It's Iron Banner, so it's always objective and there's control points. Didn't matter. If heavy was like within 10 seconds, whether I was spawning, whether I was near it, I would be going for that. Probably not proud to say I tried to push a couple people out of the way. Usually if you're there first, you do kind of get dibs on the heavy, it seems. You can't really push people too far. I mean, I'm not proud, but yeah, there were probably a couple times I was like, hey, come on, I want the heavy, and tried to steal it, and I rarely got it, but I went for it a few more times than I should have. But I mean, really, if heavy was up, and I was just like, I was going straight for it. I was beelining for it, because that's your way to make the most progress on these steps. So for me, I mean, if you need to rapidly defeat enemies, it's really hard to catch two people close together sitting on a control point where I throw, you know, a fighting line grenade out there, tag them, and then I can follow up with Malicious Birthright and explode it on them again as well while they're still close enough together for it to kill both of them. I might kill one, but to get that rapid hit, they've got to be like bam, bam. They've got to be really close together, basically right almost next to each other in that kill feed. So it sometimes would happen that way. Now, I used a hunter, and top tree tether actually worked pretty well for me. It was something I was able to basically tether a point, because control actually helps, and I'll cover the mode and why that worked for me. Tether the point, and then as the tether would spread the damage with the shadow shot attached to multiple people, I could dump a couple grenades into like a couple areas around there, and it would work even better with heavy. So like if I had heavy in a tether and people are on a point, that was like awesome. But not always, and then that's why sometimes those multi-kills would happen even with just a tether and the other two grenade launchers, because that tether actually kind of locked him close enough, it spread the damage, and I could really do what I needed to do. So for me, tether actually seemed to work fairly well. If Mayhem comes up, tether and Mayhem is something that actually works quite well. I hear. I didn't do it during that point, but you'll get more access to heavy more frequently. You'll have your tether up more often. Now, it's harder to find people all clumped together, which is kind of one of those things about Iron Banner that I liked. Iron Banner is always control. If you do Clash, people are running back and forth. They're all over the place, and they could be anywhere. And likely they're not in clumps, which is kind of where you need those rapid kills, because unless people are working for a certain point or everybody's looking down a sniper hallway, not everybody's going to be in little groups trying to capture control point. If you see the control point, like, square filling up really, really quickly, there's quite a few people on that point, and they're in a small zone. So if I have my play of the game running around to point B as they're trying to cap it, and then I get there and I just, like, dump 4 grenades right into that point, I'm likely to get 2 or 3 of them. So that's where I got a decent amount of those rapid kills. But unfortunately, that just meant I went straight for heavy, and didn't care about the objectives in Iron Banner. So I wasn't the best teammate. I was very selfish during this grind, for sure. Which leads me to the title, In Pursuit of Honor. I feel about as unhonorable as possible, because I was blindly shooting grenades around corners, banking like 9 or 10 shots of fighting line, hoping I'd hit somebody. So not a lot of skill, just praying and hoping and blind shooting. I was hoarding heavy like a crazy person. Like, just gimme, 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 gimme. I didn't care about anything else. I want the heavy so I can go do more. And then on top of that, just anything I could do, whether it was tether and cheeses and waiting for people on a point and not going for objectives. I do not feel honorable after doing this, so I just kind of respectfully disagree with the title. I would just say grenade launcher hell, something like that should be the title, but that's just me. So overall, when it comes to pinnacle weapons, I do like the idea that you actually get better with the weapons you use. And something like Recluse, even, if people weren't able to grind out the glory for it and get to 2100 and Fabled, maybe something to where you have to do a whole lot of submachine gun kills. It's going to make you use a different weapon style, get more comfortable with that weapon, and then when you play with Recluse, you're actually going to be better at it when you get it. So I would like to see something like that as a progression for some of these older pinnacle weapons to be more available to the larger player base who doesn't like comp, but if they can put in the time, they might get to enjoy it. I do like the idea of somehow keeping, like Revoker, use the weapon style, like use the type of weapon that's going to be the pinnacle weapon, so you're better with it when you get it. I like that. This one I think was weighted very poorly. As I got 5 times more final blows before I got the other 2, and maybe that's just poor skill on my part, which is fine. I think this one is a bit extreme. Like, the number of kills you need, the number of heavy ammo bricks that you're going to have to get, because it doesn't always go perfectly. Sometimes we'll pick up a heavy ammo brick and then instantly be killed by a super. Well, not going to get any kills from that one. Wait another few minutes until that thing comes up again. So all of these things come into it, and if they do adjust like heavy ammo spawn times, player base size, maps, things like that, there are certain things that they could adjust in PvP that can make this even harder. So overall, for me, it was a brutal run. I'm going to go work on my Revoker kills and my Solstice grind and stuff like that, and then I'm going to go get Fabled for both of those. Or at least the 3500 is probably going to be acquired before I hit to Fabled, so we'll see how that grind goes. But generally, I know it's done. For me, the advice is kind of what I said. Like, this was my loadout. I had Malicious Birthright. My perks were trash. I threw free hand grip on there because I could. I had Genesis and Snapshot Sights, and honestly, you're probably never going to use either of those, so it was pretty bad. I had Implosion Rounds, which it decreased the blast radius. The bigger blast radius, the better. So, as I said, mine was bad. Don't run with that. But anything with bigger blast radius would be good. This does have a pretty high velocity, and that was kind of a nice thing. Increases projectile speed. The Implosion Rounds traveled really quick, so my follow-up actually went very fast. Could have been even faster, but I'd lower blast radius on these two. So kind of a toss-up, but linear compensator might be a reasonable balance in the middle for speed. But blast radius is your biggest one. Fighting Lion, guess what? I finished the Catalyst while I was working on this one long ago, because I have 1,000 enemies defeated with this thing, and I'm pretty sure I didn't do most of that in PvE. And then I've got a couple grenade launchers. So I've got my play of the game. It's got like 47 blast radius. I got a nice roll on this thing. So I got high explosive ordnance. I got volatile launch. And then I've got blast radius, which I didn't even max out. So my blast radius on this thing is big, which is a little more forgiving when I'm firing it and kind of spewing it over a control point, hoping to get multiple kills. I have 153 enemies killed that way. This one, I've got proximity grenades as well. So this is one of mine where I've got decent blast radius with this one as well. I think if I maxed it out, it'd be closer to mid-30s. With proximity is not too bad if you're looking for the proximity run that direction. So those are my 2 advice. If you want to run Colony, that's another option. And if you've got Ore Wings Maul, which is the Iron Banner kind of breach load one from older, you should be able to run that here in this middle slot and then this top slot. The only thing about that, this uses primary ammo. Both the Malicious Birthright and Ore Wings Maul use special ammo, so you won't have as much forgiveness. So that was another reason why primary ammo, secondary ammo, and heavy ammo, I would have some variety of ammos to use and pick up and still be able to work on something, as opposed to be like, well, I used my 4 grenades and I can't get heavy right now, I'm useless. So that's kind of why I didn't do that style. So if you are going to make this grind, figure out what, how much time you want to put into it. If you just want to always have play the game equipped and work on, trying to see if, like, in a control match, you're like, okay, control might go for heavy a little more frequently, go for some of those double kills and calculated trajectory. If you're playing Clash, calculated trajectory is probably not bad because you'll see people running around. A little more separated, probably not clumped. And if you use play of the game, working on those 2, your final blows will happen. So generally, I think Mountaintop is a very good weapon in PvP and PvE right now. I've been worked over by it in multiple different ways. And it's just one of those that if you do want to check this box, just know it's going to be a long grind. And I can't really give you any better advice than that. You just kind of have to commit to the journey. But by the time you're done, you'll have a respect for grenade launchers. Your hair may be gray, which is fine because, it just means you're more distinguished. And then you've got to go grind out glory, which will be a separate thing. If you have teammates that you can play with, it'll make it a little better. Be like, hey, I need some heavy. If they're not working on it, maybe you are. Or you have a rotation where, like, I'm going to get heavy. Okay, now you can go get heavy. I'm going to help camp it for you. If you can get some help from teammates, it might make it a little better. But I did most of this in solo Iron Banner, and that's where the journey happened. So these are my thoughts on the Mountaintop in Pursuit of Honor Triumph. And if you are working on it, good luck. I appreciate the anguish you're going to go through if you've done it. If you already have, I feel your pain and can empathize now as well. So thank you all very much for tuning in. This is just, again, another talking head video. If you enjoyed this one, let me know down in the comments below if you have any guides, tips, thoughts, opinions about this or otherwise. If you guys have ways that you would like to see a non-competitive quest version come out with, multiple steps, that'd be kind of cool as well. So thank you for your time today. If you did enjoy it, drop a like below. You can find me on Twitch, on Twitter, Ebontis on both. But if you enjoy the content here, drop that subscribe button and that alert bell as well. Hit those because that'll help support me, and the alert bell actually helps keep me in your YouTube feed. So if you enjoy my content, more to come. Thank you all very much for the support, and I'll see you soon.